Once upon a time, there was a land in which the people were waiting for God to come. The people knew that God was coming because the old books told them so, because the priests told them so, because the signs on the evening news told them so. War, neighbor fighting against neighbor, economic uncertainty, pandemic, the whole of Ticketmaster being crashed by Taylor Swift. And so they prepared. In the halls of government, which in those days were also the halls of religion, they prepared a special throne for God within a special rotunda surrounded by special players of trumpets, the kind of trumpets that God is broadly known to like. But day after day, the special throne remained empty. In the houses of the rich people, where everyone dressed in purple and fine linen and feasted sumptuously every day, they prepared special bedrooms for God. These were four-poster beds and sheets made of Egyptian cotton from Bed, Bath, and Beyond. God is known to particularly like items from the Beyond section. It's great. The rich people knew that God would sleep in heavenly peace in those bedrooms. But day after day, the special bedrooms remained empty. In the bank, they prepared a vault with a great pile of money, and they waited for God to come and sit upon it, like a dragon guarding its treasure. Maybe smoke would even come out of God's nose. But day after day, the special pile of money remained unsat upon. And so the governors and the religious leaders and the rich people and the bankers got together, and they scratched their chins in bewilderment. It was so clear that God was coming. It was so clear that God was not there. And so to cheer themselves up, the governors and the religious leaders and the rich people and the bankers decided that it was time for all the world to be registered. Everyone likes being registered, they said. And the rest of them nodded in happy agreement. This was going to be fun. We'll register people while we wait, they told one another, and our waiting will be rewarded. Because what we know, they said, looking around at the chair and the rotunda and the houses with the heavenly bedrooms and the banks with their piles of holy money, is that when God comes, God will definitely come here. Now, in the film version of this story, this is when the camera cuts abruptly. The soundtrack changes hard. We abruptly leave the ornate hall with the ornate people drinking their ornate glasses and drinks. Laughter and merriment and noise everywhere, and we end up in the silence and the stillness of a simple apartment, a young woman by herself. There are markers of poverty throughout the apartment, a landlord trying to do as little maintenance as possible. The young woman has just been visited by an angel who passed by all of the wealthy and the powerful people, past the special chair and the special beds and the special pile of money, and who came to the young woman with a command and an invitation. The command was one that God repeats over and over again across time to you and to me and to everyone. It goes like this: do not be afraid. And the invitation was this. The angel said, God is ready to walk the earth as a human being. Will you make it possible? And then, having extended the invitation, the angel waited. Notice that the young woman did not consult with the religious authorities or with the government before giving her answer, with the rich people before giving her answer, with the bankers before giving her answer, even with her fiancé before giving her answer. God required no man to be involved in this decision, no man to give his permission. And notice that God did not insist. The young woman, just like you and me when God extends invitations to us, was allowed to say no. After a moment, maybe a long moment, maybe several days, maybe several years, who knows how time passes when angels visit you, the young woman said yes. She said, let it be with me according to your will. And then she sang a song. Now, some people say that the difference between musicals and real life is that in real life, people just don't start singing out of the blue. But that is a modern idea. That is a Western idea. In a lot of cultures across a lot of time, people broke into song all the time. They break into song all the time right now. The rhythms of life were and are punctuated by song. It was like that in this apartment. The young woman knew if God invites you into an adventure with God, of course you sing. And so the young woman sang, "My soul is like a magnifying glass. When you look through it, God seems bigger. My spirit is at play, it is full of joy. I am a nobody, and God has shown up for me and in me. From now on, everyone will call me blessed." God's mercy is on those who fear God, but what about those who don't? The proud, they are scattered. Their thoughts are in chaos. The powerful, they are knocked off their thrones. Their sports cars will not start. Their Twitter stock is crashing. Their bitcoins are losing billions of dollars. God has lifted up the lowly, but the hungry are feasting. The rich are going home empty. Everything is just like God promised to our parents and our grandparents and those who came before them. That's how the song went. Time passed, and the young woman and her young man were swept up in the census that the powerful had planned. The powerful who were still waiting for God to come, who did not understand how close God really was, because they did not know where to look. The young woman and the young man, the family traveled then to the young man's hometown, and here they found further proof that power and money were things that belong to other people. When you have power and money, there's always room for you in the inn. And so they stayed with friends. Years later, in his novel East of Eden, John Steinbeck would write that if you are poor and you need help, your best bet is to ask another poor person. So the family went from the rejection of the inn to the welcome of their friend's home, the young woman moving between the two with the labored walk of the heavily pregnant. Back in those days, people and animals lived together. This was to protect the animals from theft and predation, and it was to keep the room warm. Central heating would not be invented for a long time, and so it was that as the coming of the young woman's child began, she was in the earthiest of rooms. What does a barn smell like? What does it sound like? What do you see in such a place? These were the smells and the sounds and the sights as God drew near. And while the wealthy and powerful people still waited, the throne and the beds and the pile of money still unoccupied, the angel came back. This time the angel came to people working in the fields, shepherds, subsistence farmers. And the angel said the same thing that some 9 months before they had said to Mary, "Do not be afraid." For these people were afraid. Do not be afraid, for you, notice that, for you, the people at work in the fields, for you, a child is born this day. You will go and you will find this child lying in a trough. Now, some versions of the story use the fancy word manger for where the baby rested, but a trough, a place from which animals eat, is the plainer name, the truer name for the baby's crib. Resources were hard to come by in this place that God chose, and so the Holy Family and their friends had to MacGyver together what they could. A trough was the best they could do. The subsistence farmers went to the home of the Holy Family's friends, and there they found the young woman, the friends, the animals, all of the earthy evidence of birth, of life. And they made known to everyone there what the angel had told them. And the young woman pondered it all in her heart. Not so far away, the special throne sat empty, and the special beds sat empty, and the special pile of money sat empty. I guess, said the governors and the religious authorities and the rich people and the bankers, we were wrong. God isn't coming after all. And maybe they tell that story to this very day. God isn't coming. God was never coming. You and me, we are on our own. If you and me are going to do anything in this life, it's up to you. It's up to you alone. God helps those who help themselves. But the young woman and the young man and their friends and the farmers know that the governors and the religious authorities and the rich people and the bankers are wrong about this. It can be hard to find God when you look in the wrong place. Not impossible, but hard, kind of trying to push a camel through the eye of a needle. So go look. Go look in the unlikeliest of places, among the unlikeliest of people. Go look in poverty. Go look in loss. Go look in unfairness. Go look in grief. Just maybe, the family and their friends and the animals wait there still, with the child among them. We know that child by the ancient name, Emmanuel. It means God with us.